Ever have one of those days, you're running around, putting out fires, you're busy from morning till night, but at the end of it all, you look back and think, what did I actually get done? If your to-do list feels more like a source of anxiety than a roadmap, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about how to go from overwhelmed to totally in control. Let's do this.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about that feeling of being overwhelmed and why it's so common. Then, I'll introduce you to a seriously powerful tool called the Eisenhower matrix. After that, we'll get into some specific tools for deep focus. Check out a real-world case study, and finally, we'll wrap it all up by building your own personal time management playbook.
All right, let's start with the problem. It's that nagging feeling of being perpetually busy, but not actually productive. You know what I'm talking about? It's like being on a hamster wheel, running as fast as you can, but not really going anywhere. It feels like you're just reacting to the day instead of being in charge of it.
Does this sound familiar? You cross one thing off your list, and somehow 3 more just magically appear in its place. It's this vicious cycle that can lead to some serious burnout, right? It leaves you just reacting instead of acting.
And listen, this isn't just a feeling. It has very real consequences. A survey from the Project Management Institute found that a staggering 48% of projects fail to meet their initial deadline. I mean, that's almost half. It just goes to show that on a massive scale, we are really struggling to manage our time and our priorities. And it's not just about big corporate projects either. It trickles right down to us as individuals. Over a third of workers around the globe feel completely swamped by what's on their plate. This constant pressure is exactly why learning to manage your time isn't just a nice-to-have skill anymore. Honestly, it's absolutely essential. Okay, so we've established the problem is real. Now, let's get to the solution. And it all starts with learning to see your tasks in a totally new light. This isn't about working harder or longer hours. It's about working smarter on the right things. And for that, we're going to turn to a 5-star general who also happened to be a U.S. president. This quote right here from Dwight D. Eisenhower is pretty much the entire foundation for one of the most powerful time management tools ever created. He figured out something profound. The things that are screaming for our attention right now are rarely the things that will actually move us toward our long-term goals. And that simple insight is the key to escaping the busy trap. So this is it, the Eisenhower matrix. It's a super simple 4-quadrant grid. On one axis, you've got urgent and not urgent. On the other, you've got important and not important. Every single thing on your to-do list, from answering an email to planning a huge project, can be sorted into one of these 4 boxes.
Okay, so here's how you use it, and this is the game-changing part. Important tasks are the ones that get you closer to your long-term goals. Urgent tasks are the ones that demand your immediate attention, and they often serve someone else's goals. So quadrant 1, the stuff that's both urgent and important, those are the fires you have to put out. You do them now. Quadrant 2, important but not urgent, this is the magic quadrant. This is where real progress happens. You decide when to do these by scheduling them. Quadrant 3, urgent but not important, this is the danger zone, the trap of other people's priorities. Delegate these tasks if you can. And finally, quadrant 4, not urgent and not important, these are the distractions. You just delete them, get them off your list.
Now, knowing what your priorities are is half the battle, but the other half is actually getting them done, right? Once you've figured out what's in your do and decide boxes, you need some solid strategies to execute on them without getting pulled back into the chaos. Let me give you 2 of my favorites. First up is Eat the Frog. The idea is simple. You tackle your single biggest, ugliest, most important task first thing in the morning. Get that big win early, and it builds momentum for the whole day. Then there's the Pomodoro technique. This one is all about rhythm. You work in these super focused 25-minute sprints, then take a short break. It's a fantastic way to prevent burnout and keep distractions at bay.
And the best part is, you can use these 2 techniques together. Use the Eisenhower matrix to identify your frog, that big important task. Then use the Pomodoro technique to attack it in focused bursts. It's like a 1-2 punch against procrastination.
All right, theory is great and all, but let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the trenches. We're going to look at a software development team for an app called Engivid that was completely drowning in work and used these very principles to get back on track.
So here's the scene. The Engivid app was popular, which is a good problem to have, but it also meant they were getting slammed with bug reports all day, every day. The team was just overwhelmed. They were jumping from one problem to the next with no real focus or sense of priority. Sound familiar?
So their first move was brilliant.
They made all that chaos visible. They used a simple Kanban board, which is just a way to see your workflow. Every single bug report became a card that they could move from to do, to in progress, to review, and finally to done. Just being able to see everything in one place was a huge first step.
And this is where the Eisenhower matrix just completely changed the game for them. They created labels on their cards that mapped directly to those 4 quadrants. A critical app crashing bug, that got labeled do first. A minor typo that a junior dev could handle, that was delegate. A user suggestion for a cool new feature, that's decide, and they'd schedule it for a future update. All the other noise, labeled dump. Suddenly their endless list had a crystal clear hierarchy.
But they didn't stop there. They got really smart about that delegate quadrant. Because to delegate effectively, you have to know who to delegate to. So they actually built a system to rate each programmer's skills. This little radar chart made sure that every task was assigned to the person who was best equipped to knock it out of the park.
And the result? Well, it was a total transformation. The research paper on this found that teamwork just shot through the roof. Tasks were neatly organized, and the right people were working on the right things at the right time. They stopped being just busy and started being truly productive, squashing the most important bugs first.
Now that team's success is awesome, but the most important question is, how can you get these same results? So let's bring it all back home and build your personal playbook, starting with the single most important first step you can take.
Okay, I get it. We've talked about the Eisenhower matrix, Pomodoro, Kanban boards. It can feel like a lot to take in. You might be wondering, where on earth do I even start? Well, the answer is actually way simpler than you think. You start with data. Your data.
You start with something called a time audit. See, before you can change how you spend your time, you have to get an honest picture of where it's actually going. Not where you think it's going, but where every minute and every hour is truly being spent. It's about getting a clear, objective snapshot of your life.
Okay, here's how you do it. Step 1. Pick a simple tool. A notebook is fine, or an app if you prefer. Step 2. For just 1 week, track everything. The meetings, the work, the social media scrolling, the coffee breaks. You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Step 3, and this is the magic part, analyze that data using the Eisenhower matrix. How much time did you actually spend in each of those 4 quadrants? And finally, step 4, create an action plan. How can you steal time back from those delete and delegate tasks and reinvest it in what's truly important to you?
Look, a time audit isn't about making you feel guilty or trying to turn you into some kind of productivity robot. Not at all. It's about creating space. Space for your big goals, for your hobbies, for your family, for your peace of mind. It's about taking back control and pointing your most precious resource, your time, at the things that truly matter. So let me just leave you with this one question. What would you do with that freedom?